Hello, everybody. Welcome to the stream. Hello. Thank you guys all for tuning in. Hope you guys are all doing well. Welcome. I am fashionably late. I know. I apologize. I've been having a rough week, all things considered. But I'm trying my best. So the best you're gonna get is Arnold 15 minutes late. But yeah, thank you guys all for joining. I appreciate it. Yeah, welcome everybody. How's adulting this week? I'm going through taxes. I'm trying to get out of this jury duty business. RWBY's tomorrow. Honkai Star Rail is having a live stream next week. I have to figure out when and how and like factor in time for that. I'm so stressed out, to be honest. He's not wearing green. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I don't celebrate St. Patrick's Day. I completely forgot today was the 17th. It's not the end of the world. Hey, what's up, Josh? Hey, Cal. How's it going? Aren't you still at school? Hey, you. But yeah, I'm a little late just because I feel like I'm just stumbling. I feel like I'm stumbling through the week. But yeah, I'm trying. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just kind of all over the place this week, and I don't really like that. But we're not here to talk about me. We're not here to talk about my week or whatever. We're here to talk about RWBY Volume 9, Chapter 4, the live stream discussion. And pretty entertaining episode overall. I would say it was probably much needed for how things are going to develop now with Team RWBY, Ruby Rose in particular. And I'm glad that they're kind of moving along with establishing Weiss, Blake, and Yang kind of being in like the best state they've ever been in, and just kind of establishing that this volume probably isn't as much about them as it is about RWBY and John and Neo and Alex. Like I basically mentioned, in the intro of episode 1 and the overall last couple chapters of the volume, I felt like this volume is really about RWBY, John, Neo, and Alex. And I love how they just kind of are like, all right, just to let you know, Weiss, Blake, and Yang are kind of flushed out to where they want to be, like where we feel like they are. Over the last 8 volumes, they've done the best job, I think, in portraying and establishing their development over the course of the series. And Ruby Rose is the one that's kind of like, picking up the rear. So I almost feel like this episode was just to kind of establish how like they've really developed Weiss, Blake, and Yang from the start of the show to now, and Ruby's the one that needs that development to kind of catch up to her team. You mean your week didn't revolve around RWBY? No, it didn't. It revolved around being an adult. And, but yeah, I mean, it is what it is. RWBY's actually been kind of like coasting for me lately. I haven't been like, I'm not like as hyper absorbed into it as I was in previous years. Like I feel like during previous years I was so absorbed into like I'd watch RWBY on the weekend, and then I'd talk about it with my Discord and everyone, and then I'd prep the live stream, and then I feel like I would just be on Twitter talking about RWBY constantly. And I was also trying to make supplementary content out of RWBY back in the day, like shit posts, memes. I would cut up these live streams into shorter videos, but I just feel like I don't have that kind of time anymore. And I'm just trying to be multifaceted. Like, I did the Genshin Archon quest last week. I just finished up chapters 8 and 9 of Honkai Impact 3rd. So I'm just trying to kind of allocate my time properly with all the stuff that I'm trying to maintain and do. I have to sit down for RWBY this week because I have to finish recording my discussion for the last batch and then record my reaction to the next batch. So I'm just trying to focus on a bunch of other stuff besides just RWBY around this, this time around. But yeah. But thank you guys all for tuning in. I appreciate it. A lot of familiar faces in here. What's going on? Dark Neon Wolf, a Tinsel, Starcraft Squall, welcome back. Crocodile, nice to see you again. What's up, Dan? Thank you guys. Appreciate it. But yeah, this was a really fun episode overall. I feel like I got called out a little bit. To be completely honest with you, I'll be completely honest with you guys. I feel like a lot of people thought that I would have the opposite of reaction of what I actually had with the CL line. I was actually over the moon excited that they dropped her name because that's the first time they've acknowledged her since Volume 3. And I took that as like a sign of hope. I was like hopium in my freaking veins right at that moment. I was like, oh my God, they said her name. That means they're acknowledging her. That means there's a shot. There's a chance. I did not at all take that as like a oh my gosh, they're throwing shade at Arnold for being like the only person brave enough in this social climate to talk about the serious things like where's Ciao Soleil, which I made a video about Ciao the week before the volume came back. So I feel like that was like, Eddie tweeted out, he was like, I've been waiting 2 years for you to get that line. So yeah, I loved that. I loved that so much. I was like, oh my God, I feel I've never been more seen in my life. Hey, what's up, Sean? Thank you for joining the stream. Appreciate you. Yeah, what's up, Raijin? Nice to see you, bud. Nick Snow Song, welcome. Oh my gosh, the cat was so great this episode. I feel like this episode was the cat's episode and Ruby's episode. Like the cat was the first half and then Ruby was the second half, but Robbie Damon did such a great job. I still cannot get Akechi's face off of that cat's body. It's so hard because like that's the only character that I know that I've heard performed by Robbie, but he did a great job. He did a phenomenal job. I was actually thinking of how the cat talks. Like he talks so whimsically, like so cleverly. Like he like the one line he was like, you do not go to the tree goes to you unless of course you're me, you see. Like no sense seeing a sight seen. Like so much alliteration and the words just kind of flow together. It's so I don't know, it's so satisfying to hear. And I just love how they wrote his dialogue because it's very obvious that they put a lot of thought into it, into how he speaks. Yeah. God, that's... Yeah, actually, Starcraft Squall, when you think about it, it's kind of crazy how they used the Curious Cat, played by Robbie Damon, who plays one of my favorite characters in Persona 5, to tell me about Ciel. So they were like, Arnold, here's your favorite character from Persona 5 telling you about the character that you like talk about nonstop. That was like a double reference right there. Dare I say they only got Robbie Damon into this show because of me. But I won't go that far. I don't think I have that much hubris in me. Hey, Arnold, can you see me? Can you see me right now? I can. You are in the live chat. That is how this works. Welcome. The Cheshire Cat references are really, really strong. I actually went back and watched... I was on YouTube the other night, and I was watching the, what's his name? Absalom, I think that's the caterpillar's name in the Wizard of Oz in Alice in Wonderland. I was watching the Disney version of how the caterpillar first interacts with Alice, and the cat says, "Who are you?" And then in RWBY, the question he asks is, "What are you?" So again, like who, what, when, where, why. But like I really loved how they've been like so spot on with the references. But if the curious cat says his favorite food is pancakes, I'm done. God, that'd be so good. Yeah, because he did ask, what's your favorite dessert? But I don't know if pancakes would qualify as a dessert for some. But yeah, so, thank you guys all so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. These week-to-week live streams have been really great. This is my first Saturday stream. I literally was swamped on Thursday. And I'm also struggling a little bit with the sleep schedule because first off, daylight savings, but also second, I'm going to bed later and later, between focusing on my Genshin channel and streaming, trying to find time to stream and trying to find time to prep these live stream discussions. Wait, did I say Friday? Yeah, I'm sorry, Friday, sorry. Yeah, this is my first Friday stream, sorry. As you can tell, I'm not all there. Yeah, so this is my first Friday stream. That's the reason why I usually schedule the streams for Thursday, because if anything happens, Friday is my backup, like my safety day, that I can kind of back stuff up if I need the time or if I need to reschedule. For anyone that's curious, I know some people mention that it's a lot easier for them or whatnot to be able to have Friday because it's just more convenient. But I want the live streams to be available on Friday for people who weren't available to watch it on Thursday. I know more people want to be here live for it, but that Thursday, I want people to be here Thursday for it, and if they miss it, I want Friday to be the opportunity for them to watch bits and pieces of it before everyone and their mother jumps into the next episode on Saturday. So I'm very deliberate with why I do my live streams on Thursday for that specific reason. But yeah, thank you guys all so much for tuning in. I want to get to the super chat before we start. Mets, thank you for the $5 super chat. Arnold, is it me or is Ruby in the same mental state as Jack from Samurai Jack circa season 5? I haven't watched Samurai Jack since it was on like Cartoon Network back in the 90s. I can't really speak to that because I am completely out of the loop with Samurai Jack, so I'm not entirely sure. But thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Assam Trey, Neapolitan, Mad Hatter. Yeah, Neapolitan, definitely the Mad Hatter. We haven't seen her since she dropped in the last episode, in episode 3. So, and we still need to get Jean. I think tomorrow will be Jean, actually. Because if we go by the sequence of events in the intro, we've gone through all of the previous acres that we've seen in the intro. And then the caterpillar, the herbalist, does his whole, like, smoke, freaking let's get high moment. And then the next shot in the intro is Jean and the clock. So I really, 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 really hope we get Jean tomorrow. Because we're coming up on the halfway point. After tomorrow, next week's episode is halfway. No. Actually, no, tomorrow's halfway. There's 10 episodes, not 12. Yeah, tomorrow's the halfway point, believe it or not. So they don't have a lot of time unless these episodes are going to start getting longer. So yeah. Am I the only one that wants the curious cat to go back with them to Remnant? No. I think that would be... I thought the same thing for a little, but I just don't know how the world would respond to fairy tale creatures coming to Remnant. I don't know if that would... I mean, I guess it wouldn't really matter because Remnant individuals have gone to the Ever After, but I don't know how the Ever After would respond to Remnant, and I don't know. It would just be odd. Like, would they look the exact same? I know it sounds weird what I'm about to say, but it's going to sound really weird what I'm about to say, but hopefully it makes sense. The curious cat looks too cartoony for Remnant. If that makes, if you guys can understand what I mean, like he would look so out of place in Remnant. Like he would very much be like, you do not belong here. Like you do not look like you are from this world at all. Yeah, like I know it sounds weird because it's like, well, they all look cartoony. It's his animation. But like even his color too, like he would just stick out in every single shot that he's in, unless his form changed or unless he became human when he goes to Remnant or whatever. I don't know. But he would just be a normal cat. Yeah, but then he wouldn't be very curious now, would he? He would just be a normie cat. I don't know. But yeah, if he went like wholesale the exact same way he was. Also, I wonder if he would be as fantastical if he was in Remnant versus the Ever After, where he's like flying around and breaking himself off into parts and reconnecting himself later and things of that nature. So I don't know. It really depends. But yeah, I would like Little or the cat or both of them to go back to Remnant. But at the same time, I don't know. Like they have a purpose in the Ever After, and a part of this journey for them is probably also sticking to that purpose, you know? So it's probably not as easy as just like, oh, let me just go to Remnant and do whatever else. You know, maybe they have something that they have to do that the Ever After needs them to do, you know? Because Little is still on that journey right now, too. But we'll have to wait and see. Anyways, enough dilly-dally. I appreciate you guys being here. We're about 20 minutes into the stream. So with all that said, let us get into it, shall we? So, remind me that I have an image to show with the caterpillar when we get to the caterpillar scene, because right before I went live, I forgot to add it, and I was like, oh shit, I'm already live. So, if someone can just remind me, like, hey, Arnold, you have an image to put up when we get to the caterpillar, like when we get to like the caterpillar appearance in the discussion here. So, let's just move on over. Oh, actually, hold on. Let me do this real quick. Okay. There we go. All right, say bye to Chair Coon. Bye, Chair Coon. Don't worry, he's big chilling in the back, living his best life, not worrying about taxes, not worrying about jury duty, just living lavish, living off of my hard work. Alrighty. The episode starts, and I immediately think of Cal. I was watching the episode, and I was like, that's Cal whenever she sees a cat out in the real world. He's like, here, kitty, kitty, kitty. Like, come over here. Like, pss, 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 pss. Like the cat noises. Like, you know, just trying to get a cat's attention, whether it's just like a stray cat or like a neighbor cat or something like that, or whatever the case might be. Like, it's just like a very, like, Cal loves animals. She loves cats and dogs, and yeah, so I immediately was like, oh man, she's gonna love that. She already loves Akechi. She loves Robbie Damon's performance. She's already like swooning over this cat. She wants someone to make fan art of the cat as a human. And it's just like, all right, this is getting out of hand. All right, we've come too far. We've lost the plot at this point if we're just trying to turn everything into a simp fest. You know what I mean? But it is what it is. The curious cat is, in fact, a cat most curious. And I love them. They are such a character. They are so entertaining. And it's so cool, too. Like, because the volume is focusing in on just Team RWBY right now, sure, we'll get Jean. Sure, we'll get Neo. I feel like, hold on, give me 1 second. Let me move this over a little bit more. I feel like, well, actually, hold on. Let me do this. Okay, we're good. I feel like because there's such a small pool of characters, their inclusion of new characters every episode doesn't seem too overbearing right now. It's funny too, because the cat actually mentions, and I love the scene too when we're gonna get to it, and I'm gonna talk about all of that when we get to it too. But the cat pretty much like being like a self-insert for a bit of criticism for the show. It's basically the writers being self-aware, which is, you know, it's considered meta. Some people will enjoy it, some people won't. But I just loved the fact that Like, we're even now, like 9 volumes in, completely different surroundings, completely different plot, completely different theme, atmosphere, what have you. We're still getting a little bit of a new character every episode. We got the Thievius Raccoonus, we got the Jinxie, the raccoon, we got the prince, we got the herbalist, we have Little, we have the cat, and we still have other characters that we haven't been fully revealed to yet. But unfortunately, it seems like with every episode that goes by, they are very much like a one-hit wonder. Like, every episode we've gotten one particular locale or one particular acre, and then by the next episode, we're in a different setting with a different character that is focused on that specific area. And so it gives you enough time to appreciate them, whether it be for their design, their performance, you know, what they're doing for the plot, like their purpose for the plot, and then they move on. Like, I'm still thinking about how cool the design of the prince was, and I wish the prince was more important because I don't know, I just really like the prince. But like, it seems like at the very least, as the show continues, Little and the cat will be more like mainstays, and will probably have the lasting impact, the lasting impact of the volume. So and I'm also thinking too, like, who's going to be the fan favorite by the end? Are people going to gravitate towards the cat, or are people going to gravitate towards Little? Because I'll be completely honest, Little really feels like I feel like Little is so integral. Like, just no pun intended, but the little things that they do just have like a big response with the community, or like a big impact when it comes to like whether they're memes or just like recountable moments. Like the ending line is so good. I'm just like, bro, that's Little shtick right there. He's like, oh, I found the cat. At the end of the episode, I was like, good job, Little, you did it. I knew we could trust you. And it's just like, all Little does is sleep and contributes. That's all they do. You know, I love it. And I feel like both of these characters are going to be huge for the show or this volume moving forward. I don't know if either one of them, and it's funny too, because one's a cat, one's a mouse, is like on some Tom and Jerry shit, you know what I mean? Like, these two they balance each other out too, in a way. Like the cat is kind of applying more of the plot, and then Little is kind of like the comedic relief, but also, you know, the angel on my shoulder kind of thing, like for RWBY at least, which I think is very appropriate and might play a role down the road if RWBY decides to do away with her current burden and her current woes and stuff like that, and change up who she is and whatnot. So the cat is a very welcome addition. The performances are great. I really love the writing of how they weaved in the whimsical kind of dialogue that the cat has. No sightseeing, a sight seen, or you do not go to the tree goes to you, unless of course you're me, you see. Like, I feel like they're speaking in tongues or something. And it's like, I actually had to like stop and process like how they worded. And even in the previous episode, right, you know, times change, of course, times change, you know, and so do we when it's our time to change. And it's like, I really feel like I have to think whenever they open their mouth, because of the how they weaved the writing in with his dialogue. But yeah, the cat's phenomenal. I love the cat's involvement in everything. Phil Swift, thank you for the $2 super chat. Just finished my taxes. Looking at 10 to 25 years. Oh my god. Imagine, bro? No, let's not imagine. All right, let's not imagine. I appreciate the comment. Thank you for the support. Julia Spite, welcome back. Thank you for the $10 super chat. Sorry you're having a rough week. Keep moving forward. I have faith in you. This episode was the best yet. When I heard them mention Ciel, I instantly shouted, Arnold freaking called it. I've watched and I've seen a lot of people's responses to this episode in particular on Twitter, and some people who have their reactions already up on YouTube. And I'll be completely honest with you, I am very surprised by how, like, and you would think, like, of course, Arnold, like, why would you be surprised by that? But I am genuinely still surprised by how much of a ripple effect I am in the community. Like, I did not think there would be as many people mentioning me during a Ciel moment, despite how often I have talked about her since fucking, what is it, since the Atlas arc, since volume 7, volume 8, and even the 2-year hiatus to volume 9. I was just shocked by how much people immediately associate Ciel Soleil with me, because I'm constantly like going at bat for her. And I'm always talking about like, where is she? Why wasn't she in Atlas? Is she dead? Is she alive? Are we going to see her again? I really miss her. I know it started off as a meme, but that meme slowly developed into something genuine. And that's honestly the truth too. When I first started talking about Ciel, I was like, this character is so forgettable, so unmemorable. People would not remember her. I should actually vouch for this character as a joke. And that's how it started, like dead ass. Like that is literally how me starting to talk about Ciel happened. Cause and the immediate response is, Arnold, why do you like this character so much? Like, what the hell? They were on screen for like one episode and we've never seen them again. And like my whole thing was like, that's the point. It's a joke, it's a meme. And like people are getting bent out of shape about it, and I think that's funny. But then over time, especially when we got to Atlas, I was like, where is Ciel? Like, I really wanted to see her. I wanted to see her in the Maya engine. I wanted to see her interaction with Team RWBY, with Penny, with everything that was going on in Atlas. And then when we started not seeing her, when I thought we would see her, that's when I started getting attached. And I was like, okay, this actually isn't a game. I actually want to see her now. and here we are. So yeah, like I really was blown away. Like I watched the episode last week and I immediately went to Twitter and I retweeted like the video that I made a couple weeks prior about like Ciel, because I did like this snippet video of like a discussion I had during volume 8, and I did that the week before volume 9. So it's kind of funny because I put the thought of Ciel into everyone's minds before the volume started. So then to immediately 3-4 chapters later have Ciel be brought up, it's like an immediate like blowback effect of like, wait a minute, Arnold just talked about Ciel a few weeks ago and now they're mentioning her in the show. What's going on here? So I had that exact same reaction. So all I did was I freaking quote retweeted that post, and like everyone was just like, Arnold, what the hell? You know, like there were so many people, and I couldn't believe it. I actually thought everyone would have already forgotten or moved on, or you know, been long past that point. So I just really love how or rather I'm really surprised that my impact is felt for whatever it is I'm talking about, even if it doesn't land me anywhere. Like Ciel at the very least was proof of that, or living proof of that, for me to just be like, holy shit, I still can't believe I watched a reaction video last night and that Ciel part came out and I'd never watched the reactor before. It was my first time watching his video, and he was like, I can't wait to see Arnold's reaction to that. And I'm like, what the fuck? like, bro, I'd never seen their videos before. And like, even they knew how much I loved Ciel as a character. So like moments like that still like wow me to this day. And it's not something that I'm like, of course, you know who I am. Of course I'm the Ciel Soleil fan. So, I don't know. I just really, it was just really shocking and surprising to me, and to myself, to know that they referenced her after so long. I had a big pop-off moment during the episode when that came up. But yeah, I'm glad that you enjoyed that, Julia. Let's see. Patrice, thank you for the $20 super chat. Welcome back to the stream. I can give you one stainless steel reason why they won't bring the Curious Cat to Remnant. He changes hearts, and no way the community wouldn't assume that he would touch Salem to try and change her heart. The only reason I think that applies is because that is his purpose within the Ever After. Going to Remnant doesn't necessarily mean that will go with them as well. You know what I mean? Like, we don't understand. Like, he is native to the Ever After. I guess it would still make sense because like Team RWBY is native to Remnant, but things like semblances and aura and dust still work here. So the opposite should work as well. But I feel like it's a way different because the Ever After is literally a fairy tale make-believe reality. So I don't know. I don't know if that would necessarily apply the same way, because they could easily just say, well, if they bring the cat to the real, if they bring the cat to Remnant, he loses his Ever After purpose abilities of changing hearts or whatever, you know? Or that can translate to a semblance, but it wouldn't work in the same sense, you know? Like, Ren can mask emotions, but he masks emotions in the appearances of, like, Grimm. He doesn't immediately take away your emotions or whatever, you know? So it could happen, but I genuinely don't think that these creatures or these characters will leave the Ever After in any, like, significant way. Mary Fan, wow, thank you for the $50 super chat. Really appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. What it do? Much love for everything you're doing. Love, love, love your reactions and content. Not volume 9, not volume 9 related, but hear me out. For the longest time, I've wanted dinosaurs / prehistoric faunus in the show and wanted to hear your thoughts or opinions. LOL. First off, thank you very much for the generous super chat. I really appreciate that. Secondly, when I think of dinosaurs, I think more of like, I feel like dinosaurs are more like, it's hard to say, but I would want, when I think of like dinosaurs or prehistoric creatures, I consider that to be more of like a Grimm archetype. Like, they've already had like the Teryx Grimm, right? Which is like a pterodactyl Grimm from volume 7, I believe it was. So like, they've already kind of established that like there are prehistoric Grimm. And I don't really know if that would translate well with being like a human like a human dinosaur hybrid. I don't know. Like, I feel like a dinosaur is more along, like, in my mind, I'm like, I would associate a dinosaur with like a Grimm design more than I would like a faunus design. Whereas like a dog or a chicken or something like that, I would associate that more with a faunus. It's weird, but I would associate more like domesticated animals as being faunus characteristics than like Grimm. In the same way, like, you can't domesticate a fucking dinosaur, so that's just the Grimm automatically. I don't know. Yeah, there's also the woolly mammoth Grimm. Yep, we had those as well. The Goliaths. So, well, the Goliaths were, yeah, I think there were two variants. It's like or I think the Goliaths are the Grimm from, but they're just like different because they're in Atlas. But yeah, they had like woolly mammoth Grimm. They had the Teryx Grimm, which is basically a pterodactyl. Yeah, Goliaths and Megaliaths. Yeah, there you go. I forgot the name of them. I was like, Megaliath? I'm not a real RWBY fan, guys. I don't know every Grimm name off the top of my head. God damn it. But yeah, I think it's a cool idea. I just think I associate dinosaurs more with Grimm, so I just wouldn't really see that happening all that much. But you know, what do I know? You know, they could have like a rhino Grimm. Who knows? I know rhinos aren't prehistoric, but like that's the closest thing I can think of. And I actually think they've had like rhino faunus, or like faunus with horns at least. But yeah, anyways, I hope that answers your question. Also, Julia, thank you for the $5 super chat. You should hold on. You should make them bring back Cial buttons, a whole campaign with fireworks. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I ever since Cial got brought back, I've been seeing a lot of fan art of her, and I really like that. I actually want to start commissioning some Cial fan art. Oh yeah, they had the saber-toothed tiger Grimm too. Wow, now that I think about it, there are already a lot of prehistoric Grimm designs in the show. Yeah, they have the saber-toothed tigers, they have the Megaliath, they have the Goliaths, they have, which those are woolly mammoths, they have the Teryx. So they've done a lot actually already in that department. It's just with Grimm instead of faunus. Oh man, chat. Speaking of which, someone brought up like a Weiss pop-up. They're getting the Weiss pop-up. My Weiss my wife's pop socket is coming undone, and I'm so sad. Pop sockets really don't last as long as I wish they'd last, and they don't sell these in the RT store anymore, so I have to find a replacement. I think I have a Blake or a Yang one that I haven't used yet, because I got one of each, and I went through the Yang one. I went through a Weiss one, I went through a RWBY one, and then I bought another. This is my second Weiss pop socket, and I fucking hate it, man. This one's hanging on for dear life because I literally cannot hold my phone without a pop socket anymore. What's a pop socket? It's this like thing that extends that you put on the back of your phone, and then you can just hold your phone like this or however way you want. And it's such a convenient way of using your phone. And when I don't have a pop socket on my phone, I feel like my phone's going to just slip out of my hands and fall down a drain or something. So I need to find a new one, but the RWBY ones are all kind of worn out, unfortunately. So, and they don't have them in the RT store anymore, so I need to find a replacement or something like that. I wish I could just keep... Actually, you know what? I might just... If I can find one that uses the same exact pop socket base, I could just like... Because you can literally... Hold on, you can do this. You can do this and take the piece off and just replace it. So I think I'll just do that, and I'll just try to find the exact same like pop socket base for this. Because I want to keep the Weiss thing. Like, I want to keep the Weiss emblem on it. But yeah, it's not a good time for me, chat. I'm losing my Weiss pop socket. The government wants all my money. The freaking government's also willing to throw me in jail if I don't show up for jury duty. Like, it's not looking good for me right now. I'm actually, like, in shambles. This is, like, the worst timeline. It's like, cool, Ruby's back, but my life is falling apart, so I guess that evens it out. Anyways, getting back on track, I would say. I loved the cat's introduction. Love how they communicate. Love that they are pretty much kind of getting us on track with the story, which is great, because I feel like we've been kind of losing the plot a little bit, especially with the last episode with the king and whatnot. Cat came at the perfect time. So, and again, Robbie Daymond, excellent, phenomenal performance. And yeah, everything is just kind of flowing really well. I also kind of like how like Team RWBY is just big chilling on RWBY's, like in RWBY's freaking inner cape. For her hood or whatever, and obviously Little is a part of that as well. So overall, just really like that. Also, I don't know if any of you guys noticed, but this was a big distraction for me during the episode, and that was Ruby Rose's chin. And I'm not capping, dude. This seeing Ruby's chin throughout the entire episode was so distracting to me. I was like, she's literally the Crimson Chin. Get it? Because she's red and her chin is very like her chin is very prominent and like just in the shot, in every single shot. So so yeah, I don't know. It just like from Tiny Weiss's perspective, it just looks so like abnormal and out of place, and I couldn't not notice it, and I immediately thought of the Crimson Chin when I saw that. So I mentioned it. I had to bring it up. I had to share that with y'all because of course I did. Here comes the Crimson Chin. Crimson Chin Ruby. But yeah, I don't know. I literally saw it and I was just like, you know why? It's because it looks so like defined and like chiseled, and I'm like, is that how Ruby's chin has always looked, or is it just like hyper defined because they're super tiny, you know? Also, Tiny Weiss is great. Like, she's over here cracking jokes and like mentioning how she's like super far from the tree. She's like, it could be both. We could be super far from the tree and be super small, you know? I can be right. But also, if any of you guys noticed, in the credits, it actually credits the characters as Tiny Weishni, Tiny Blake Belladonna, and Tiny Yang Xiaolong. So, you know, apparently these are completely different identities at this point. So you got to put respect. You got to put respect on their names. But yeah, obviously they're trying to. So obviously the cat from their initial interactions. You know, they're talking about, oh, you can help us get to the tree. And he's like, why would I want to go somewhere that I've already been to before? Which is like facts, but at the same time, the plot demands it. So again, Blake having a bit of the spotlight, which I really love how constantly Blake is kind of getting the plot back on track, like back on the road as they're like running down this golden road, of luring the cat there with information because they're curious, because, you know, curiosity killed the cat, but apparently this cat seems unkillable because they're like breaking themselves in half and whatever. They basically use that to their advantage, and thus we get into it, chat, because your boy got called out in 4K. Not only that, but the writers were very self-aware in this episode, which I really appreciated. They typically are for the most part, but like in this case, it seemed very like, we hear you and we're gonna actually let you know how much we hear you, because it's kind of impossible not to like have a finger on the pulse on the community. So the scroll was great, like a cat taking pictures of itself, like cat pictures. That's like, if they bring these pictures back to the real world, like RWBY at the very least has photo evidence of the ever after existing on her scroll now. So no matter what, she just looks at those pictures and it's like proof that it happened. Maybe she'll, like, I don't know, put this on her freaking Remnant Instagram, or her freaking, I don't know, like her tours around the world or whatever. I don't know. She'll put this on her blog. But I don't know if this will play any role in the future, but in my mind, I was like, wait a minute. There's evidence that the ever after exists because she just took a picture of the cat. I will be so upset if they go back to Remnant and then like they try to explain themselves and no one believes them. And she's like, look, the cat took a picture on my scroll and then it's disappeared, or it looks like it's just like a rock or something. Like they go back and they sound crazy or some shit. I don't know. I don't know if it's only working because they're in the ever after, but then when you leave Remnant, can you actually retain information of the ever after if you leave it, you know? But yeah, I thought that was really cool. Like, obviously, cat pictures, right? That's half of the internet. So I thought that was great. That was very spot on with you know, him being a cat and basically having more of like these cute moments with him. And then the bottom shot, like, they basically give a retelling summary of the entirety of RWBY on their way to the tree, and they're still not out of this acre. So they told 24 hours, mind you, it takes you 24 hours to watch from volume 1 to volume 9. It's 24 hours at least. And with this volume, it's looking to be like maybe 20, let's see, 24, it's like 27 hours, 26, 27 hours at this point. But yeah, they basically retold the entirety of the show, all the major plot threads, characters, reveals, and things of that nature. And he starts talking about things that the community has been in discourse about for ages. He talks about the uncomfortable implications of Oscar and Ozpin sharing a single body. And I feel like that's a constant point of contention between people whenever shipping is brought up. And so it's kind of like, all right, that's one check. It's like, oh, they got you. They're clearly aware of that entire plot point and how that can cause some like in-universe problems and complications with things with people and how it makes them feel. He talked about obviously the reincarnation, the city in the sky, which, you know, that wouldn't have been a problem if they never took the relic out of the vault, but you know, obviously Ironwood was a big problem with that. So, you know, the usage of the relic, I swear to God, they literally only called me out for the Ciel moment. I'm not saying they don't exist. We are very proud, we are very few but true Ciel Soleil fans. I believe that I'm not the only one. But I don't know anybody who goes at bat for Ciel Soleil like I have in the last couple of years. Between my videos, my streams, my tweets, Even now, like even prior to Volume 9 coming out, I was like, okay, I'm not gonna let anyone forget this girl's name. And then there's people in the comments like, who is this again? You know, like, yeah, because they're so freaking original and funny. But no, like I don't know who else they could be talking about but me. I genuinely mean that. Like, who else? Who else is out here, like, asking where this girl has been for the last 4 years? And so, yeah, that one, they just called me out. And you know what? I also think it's still valid that they went to Atlas and she's from Atlas and we didn't see her in Atlas, where she's from. So my only thought process is, A, she's dead, which if she is, I'm going to be really pissed off that they've never clarified that at all. In the other books, they clarified like what characters died during the fall of Beacon and, you know, stuff like that. Ciel was never brought up, never mentioned. Or she's stationed in Vacuo. Those are the only two options that I could come to any type of reasonable conclusion. Is that she's in Vacuo, she's stationed there, kind of like how he stationed Cordovan in Argus back in Mistral. And it's because she didn't need to be like attached to the hip of Penny. And so the thing was too, right? A lot of people thought my reaction was going to be like, Arnold's going to be so pissed off. They basically like threw Ciel in his face like a haha, Arnold, we still haven't brought up this character. We still haven't talked about this character. But my reaction to this moment was I was so fucking hyped and happy and excited that they acknowledged her existence for the first time since 2015. The first and last episode that Ciel Soleil was in was Volume 3, Chapter 5, which was, I believe, before the holiday break of 2025. I'm sorry, 2015. What am I saying? 2025. Of 2015. And so, in my head, I'm like, it's been, let's see, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. It's been 7 years. It's been 7 years since we've seen her. And in my head, I'm like, they're mentioning her by name in the show for the first time in 7 years. And that tells me that they are aware of her existence still. Which means I don't think they would have done that if they straight up killed her. Like, why bring her up if she's dead? If she's dead, guess what? She's been dead for 7 years. There's no point in bringing up the dead. You know what I mean? You could have replaced any other character with her name, and it would have still been valid, you know? It's like, oh, how about those, you know, those random characters from the Vital Festival tournament that we also never saw? You know what I mean? But it was Ciel specifically. So, I feel like that's a little bit of hopium, but I actually think that that's their way of letting us know that they still have her in their mind, and that could be potentially telling us that we will see her again. I actually don't think they were trolling me. You know, because, like, all of these things they're talking about are still, like, relevant things that are being talked about to this day. Obviously, I'm the only one advocating for the Ciel moment here, but I will have the biggest fuck you moment when we get to Volume 10, Volume 11. The day we see Ciel Soleil in the show again is the day I say fuck you to everyone that told me I was wrong. I'm going to pop off so hard. I'm going to go back to every comment that I've ever gotten of Ciel in my previous videos, and I'm going to be like, LOL, you're wrong. Stay mad. I'm going to be so petty, it's not even funny. I'm going to feel so validated the day I see Ciel Soleil, and I'm going to tell everybody how wrong they were, and I'm going to be like, imagine being on the wrong side of history. Imagine thinking that Ciao Soleil actually wouldn't come back and telling me how wrong and delusional I was and how I was on copium and how it was never going to happen and that it was just a throwaway comment and how, like, I'm detached and I'm just going to be like, look at that. You know what? I'm going to go back. I'm going to get all those receipts before these people start turning coat. And they're going to be like, Arnold, I was always on your side. I was just a silent supporter. I never commented, but I was in your corner, man. I was always rooting for you, hoping that she would come back. Like, no, okay? Where were you when I was out there shouting from the rooftops? Where were you when I was shooting in the gym, telling people, praising the words of Ciao Soleil? Bro, I'm never going to shut up about it. If it ever happens, bro, all I'm going to say is I will not apologize for the person that I will be when she comes back. On the flip side, if she never comes back, I will harbor a deep-seated, unrelenting hatred for this episode in particular. For as long as I live. And I don't know if that'll have any long-lasting effects on my mental health, but let's not think about that. All right, let's keep it positive. Let's keep it optimistic. All right, I've been holding out for Ciao Soleil for this long. What's a few more years? But long story short, I was thrilled when I heard her name, because it feels like she's been dead for 7 years, because it literally feels like she didn't exist, because no acknowledgement, no name drop, no nothing. But if Team RWBY remembers her and mentioned it to the cat for him to say something about it, that means the writers acknowledged it for this specific scene. And it's so funny the way he says it too. It's like, speaking of which, did that Ciao girl from, and he's like, speaking of Atlas, did that Ciao girl from the Vital Festival tournament ever return back in a notable way? AKA, did they ever mention her again after that one episode 7 years ago? In the books, in the mangas, in the show, in the trailers, name dropped it all, like nothing. And you know what? I'm going to be a little petty right now. Because I had an interesting conversation on Twitter and in the Discord about Ciao and about how, and I had conversations with some friends of mine too, but also with just general people that were commenting on Twitter about, like, why should she come back? Like, what's the point of bringing Ciao Soleil back? And you know what I say to that? Who the fuck cares about Cobalt and Ivory of Team Funky? I'm going to go on record saying this right now. Cobalt and Ivory took the Funky out of Team Funky. I said it. They don't talk. They don't have any type of meaningful moments outside of their fucking design. And here's the icing on the cake. Cobalt and Ivory's, the concept of Cobalt and Ivory's character is built and is fundamentally based on controversy, because Cobalt and Ivory are based on the fucking blue and black dress and gold and white dress debate that's been going on the internet for like the past decade. The stupid fucking dress concept, that's what they're based on. They're based on controversy. They're based on having people at each other's throats. And you put them on Team Funky and you thought you were doing something good. At least Ciao would have been a proper character that could have helped enrich Penny's plot a lot more, you know, made us care even a little bit more, or even, fuck it, she could have just been she could have been a character at least. All right, you took resources from her to put these two guys in here that don't even say a lick of anything, that like grab Oscar by the head. Like, you're getting finessed by Oscar in a training simulation. Like, come on, bruh. Could not be me, and definitely could not be Ciao Soleil. That's all I'm saying. So yeah, You tell me why Ciel deserves to be in here. I raise you 2 husks of a character. 2 husks. Not even characters, 2 husks. They ripped the Funky right out of Team Funky. I'm telling you. And I will not shut up about it. And I actually don't think there's any Cobalt and Ivory fans that exist. Just saying. And if they are, they're coping hard. Because, like, what the fuck is there to like? How are they characters? Anyways, my shots have been fired. There's someone call an ambulance. Not for me. But yeah, they're not so funky fresh. I'll tell you that right now. So that is why I feel Ciel deserves the spot more than they did. And I rest my case. At least Neon Cat and Flint Cole have history with the damn show. You know what I mean? But they're like, but we have to bring the rest of Team Funky because, you know, we brought them up during the last, you know what I mean? Like, and if it wasn't bad enough, during the Vital Festival tournament, who were the 2 characters to advance to doubles? Flint and Neon. You know why? Because they're actual characters, unlike their teammates. That's it. That's it. All right. Let them know I said it. Bro. Ciel Soleil would have been goated in Atlas. I am kind of glad that if she is alive, she wasn't there, because there would have been a higher risk of her actually dying. But we don't have to think about that anymore. You know, we don't have to think about Atlas. You know, they're swimming with the fishes at this point. Anyways, yeah, that's kind of my little spiel. That's my little rant. That's my shots fired at anyone that wants to run their mouth about Ciel Soleil. Yo, if I see you, it's on site, bro. That's all I'm saying, dude. Keep it to yourself. When she comes into the show, I don't want to hear anybody say anything about her. I'm gatekeeping Ciel Soleil. If you're not a Ciel Soleil fan as of today, you're not allowed to be a fan of hers when she comes back. I'm making that declaration here and now. I am officially gatekeeping her as a character because y'all don't deserve her. All right, that's how I feel. That's how I truly feel, bro. I fucking hate. I'm gonna fucking hate when people are like, oh my gosh, I love her so. Like, where were you? I'm out here like fighting for my life, fighting for this character's relevance, and there's nobody here. I'm literally I'm by myself, bro. And so when she comes back, I want you to act like she never existed and keep it moving. Because when everyone else forgets, I'll remember. I'll remember who wasn't there. Anyways, I might have some deep-seated resentment as of right now, if you couldn't tell. Soul Edge, thank you for the $20 super chat. What's up, Arnold? Hope you're having a good day. I love how you asked me that in the middle of this, like, in the middle of this unhinged rant I'm having. If Ruby through her own choice or was forced becomes corrupted or temporarily evil or aligns herself with Salem, what's your opinions on that concept? I think that's edgy for the sake of being edgy. Like why would she do that? You know? I think that would be too edgy and too unbelievable for me to believe. Especially at this point. You know what I mean? Like, 9 volumes in, it's like, if someone was gonna freaking go AWOL, it probably would have happened after the fall of Beacon. But, yeah, I can't picture any of the main characters, siding with Salem for any reason. Like, there's no justifiable reason other than, oh, this is like some cool preteen edgy type shit of like, oh, they're gonna switch sides and it's gonna be so hype and Ruby's gonna have to fight her sister. Isn't that awesome? She's gonna have to fight her teammate. No, I don't know. I'm not a fan of it, but you know, who what do I know? But yeah, so obviously, I felt some type of way about Ciel Soleil being called out in this episode, and it doubles over for the fact that I feel like I've just been advocating for this character, and it truly feels like I was heard for the first time. Like, I understand over the course of my involvement with RWBY and being a part of the community and being popular within the community and well known, and my content reaching fans, reaching people who work on the show and whatnot, there's always been this mindset from certain people that like RWBY makes the show with me in mind to like appease me or for PR or whatever the case might be, even though I was making videos on it back when no one knew who I was. This is truly and honestly the first time ever where I genuinely feel like I was in their minds when they wrote that shot. I could be completely wrong, but Eddie at the very least knew that I would acknowledge this. Like, Eddie was like, if they were writing this, it was at least in Eddie's mind that I know one person in particular that will appreciate this scene, and it's going to be Arnold. So yeah, or maybe it was always in the cards and they always had this in mind for Cial, and it's just kind of like a wait and see kind of thing because they never confirmed her death. But I feel like that was just very much like a me moment. So I'm holding out hope. Like, this honestly gave me hope more than a slap in the face or a meta joke or poking fun at the community or whatever. And like, I'm not gonna feel dumb if I looked into this and then it turned out that she wasn't in Vacuo, that she actually did die, and it was a shot at people who thought about Cial that way. I don't know. I'm just living in the moment for it. I'm not like betting all my chips and like hoping and praying that she actually comes back. It's at the end of the day, this is all fun and banter. So for me at least, it was just nice to hear her voice. It felt so unbelievable to hear her voice, to hear her name, I should say, because we haven't heard her name in ages. And I just wanted her to be acknowledged. And that was always my biggest issue, was like, we're in Atlas and it feels like she never existed because her name wasn't dropped once during that entire arc. But yeah, it just gave me hope. That's all I can really say. It gave me hope that we'll hopefully see her again, and this could potentially be foreshadowing for that name to be brought up again in the future in a bigger way. So I'm holding out that Vacuo will give that to us. Issa Badiola is still at RT, and she voiced the character back in volume 3. So having her back in RWBY would be really awesome. She's amazing. I love her. She's great. And yeah, I love her character. So I want to see her in the Maya engine. I want to see her in a new outfit. I want to see her semblance. I want to see her weapon. I want her to be, a fleshed out character. I want to see what she feels for Penny if she finds out that having found out that Penny died. But yeah, like, I don't know. There's just so many things. Actually, she never knew that Penny was a robot to begin with, so she probably thought Penny's death was at the Vital Festival tournament. And so she probably never, maybe she got stationed to, headcanon moment, she probably got stationed to Vacuo so that way they could bring Penny back and work in Atlas without her knowing, because she never knew that Penny was a robot to begin with. But then again, actually no, because Cinder revealed that she was a synthetic robot during the Vital Festival tournament. So I don't know. All I'm saying is I hope we see her again. Anyways, moving on from Cial, I feel like I gave her her core moment for her discussion there. So aside from Cial, the cat also mentions like, oh my gosh, there's so many characters to keep track of. You think? Whose bright idea was it to make like 100 characters in this show and flush out like 18 of them? That is the biggest shot fired at Rooster Teeth. The biggest flag of awareness that I've ever seen, for them to just mention like, holy moly, like, oh my god, like, we have so many characters that we had to make this one volume in this confined like pocket dimension space just to flesh out our main characters, because there's so many other characters to think about, and there's no way you can give them all equal time and equal screen time and development and care and attention. You have Team RWBY, you got Team Juniper, you have Salem, you have her forces, and then you have all these side characters, right? You have Sun and Neptune and just as forgettable characters like Scarlet and Sage. You have, again, Team Funky and Atlas. You have, minor characters like Robin Hill and the Aesops and Team Coffee. And it's just like, bro, like how, how? And thank God for the books, because the books do a good job at filling in those gaps, at least with Team Sun and Team Coffee in particular. The books do a good job for them. Also with Roman and with Neo. So supplementary content does help out, but at the same time, people want to see it. Like, people got into the show first. And even if the books do a good job, if you got to see it to believe it, unfortunately, for some people. And so if it's not in the book, if it's in the book and it's not in the show, it's going to feel like it's there just to kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? It's there to, like, do a little bit of damage control from what's already been said and done. You know what I mean? But I would really want those things to come across in the show. Like when we go to Vacuo, at that point, before the fall and after the fall and before the dawn, I think that's what it's called. Yeah, after the fall and before the dawn. Those two books are going to be kind of crucial because those events, I believe, would have taken place already. Like, those events have already taken place. So by the time we get there, the characters will probably have the same demeanor, dynamic, mannerisms, and will probably reference things that they experienced from the books as well. So, which I still have to read, which I'm going to be reading those after this volume for sure. Yeah, I'm definitely aware that the job of the books is to give the job of supplementary material is to flesh out side characters while the main show fleshes out the primary ones. It's just, I don't know, like I don't know a show that has this big of a cast of characters, because people's favorite characters are almost considered the main characters to those people, and everyone wants their character to have a minute in the spotlight, and it's kind of hard to maintain that. But even when we go to these different regions, you would expect that those characters will have their moment to shine, right? So, for example, anyone that was a big fan of Flint, Cole, or Neon Cat was expecting to see them in the Atlas arc. And even if we never see Flint and Neon again, at least they had that moment or their moments during that arc. And that's all I'm saying. Like, I feel like every character deserves their moment in the sun for a little bit. And so, I just don't know. One Piece has a large cast. Yeah, well, One Piece has also been going on for like 20 years, so they have the amount of time to literally make every character in that show probably feel like a main character at some point. One show that I love, actually, it's my favorite anime of all time, Hunter x Hunter. For those of you who don't know, Hunter x Hunter 2011 is my favorite anime of all time. And one of my favorite arcs in the show is the York New City arc. And what that arc does that I love more than anything. So the main character in Hunter x Hunter, no spoilers by the way, the main character in Hunter x Hunter is Gon Freaks. That is the main character of the show. There's actually kind of like 4 pillars of the show. It's Gon, Killua, who is his best friend, Kurapika, who is like one of his close side friends, and Leorio. And what York New City does really, really well is throughout the show, Gon is the main character, and Gon and Killua are basically the main characters. So you go through the first arc with the tournament, like with the Hunter exams, and then you go through like the little mini arc with Killua and his family. And when York New City arc happens, what happens is Gon and Killua become side characters, and Kurapika becomes the main character. Like, the plot shifts, and it turns a side character into a main character, and it turns main characters into side characters. And I wish that more shows did that, to reflect and show people that a show is not all about whoever the character's name is in the title. Just because the show is called Naruto does not ultimately mean that the show is all about him and only from his perspective. And like that's ultimately what I wish RWBY did a little bit more. We got a bit of flack during the Oscars for volume, I think it was volume 8. We got a bit of flack for that volume in particular because we didn't have Team RWBY in the leading category for characters. And the reason for that is because they did not play a main character role that volume. It was really kind of, actually, no, I think it was volume 7. I think it was volume 7 that we did that because it was either volume 7 or 8. I don't remember. But a lot of people were tweeting and commenting and asking, why is Team RWBY not in the main character leads? They're the show, the show is named after them. So a lot of people really carry this mindset that RWBY, Weiss, Blake, and Yang are the main titular characters because their name is in the title, and therefore they deserve to be in any type of leading role, regardless of their contributions of a volume. And I disagree with that wholeheartedly. So I don't know. I don't know. Okay, I lost the plot a little bit. I'm like, what am I rambling about again? I'm trying to get to the source of it. Yeah, so the source of it was like supplementary characters, you know, for supplementary material, main characters for main material. I really wish that there was a way to kind of merge the two together with this show. RWBY might be a little different, unfortunately, because it's a web series and I don't really understand or how its budget doesn't allow for it to do bigger and better. I feel like it's still kind of following the same formula that it has since its creation, right? 12 to 14 chapters, you know, 12 to 15 minutes per episode. And it I don't know, like I can't even begin to assume like what goes into making the show. And so I can't really speak from that perspective, but from the outside looking in, I know production wise, the show's gotten better. I know runtime, it's gotten better. I know the plot's been forwarded with every volume. But at the same time, I just wish they were able to do more with the characters themselves. But yeah, again, that's just my little kind of rant. And that's why some characters that feel like side characters, I wish they had more. It's like, I know you're not the main character. You will never be on the same level of Ruby Rose, which is why I wish you just had something, anything, you know? So yeah, that's just my like perspective on the matter when it comes to why I vouch so much for side characters, because, you know, we want these characters to be characters. We don't want them to be like freaking props in the background. But but yeah, again, and what I'm thinking about is more of like an anime thing. Like they just have the budget, they have the runtime, they have the manga, the source material, everything is already kind of laid out from a manga's perspective to be, you know, adapted properly. But I don't know. I feel like we as a community also really appreciate side characters a lot more than RWBY even expects us to. Like Sienna Khan, Pilot Boy, you know, just like random one-off side characters that, like Torchwick wasn't supposed to, like they never expected Torchwick to have that kind of reception with the audience as he did, and so they killed him off in volume 3, and then they didn't make a book about him until years later because they just kind of like were so caught off guard by it that they had to course correct and like do his character justice with Neo especially. So yeah. Oh my gosh. Mary Fan, thank you for the 855, you dunce. I appreciate it. It's 855, you dunce. But yeah, don't forget Ruby's friends back from Signal Academy. Yeah, what friends, bro? She was like, yo, I made it into Beacon. Who are you? Don't ever talk to me again. You don't know me. I'm better than you. I got moved up 2 years because I'm special. I got silver eyes. My mom was a great huntress. Easy clap. I'm the main character. This is my story. You're just this is my story. You're not a part of it. But anyways, yeah. So this interaction was great, giving kind of like a speed run summary of the events of the show was really great for, I guess, the cat to figure out and learn about, and just constantly, you know, poking holes, poking fun at different like criticisms and things that the community has collectively talked about forever. And I've seen memes already, like how the cat represents the fandom, and then actually what was it? I think like Ruby's like face expression like was like Kruby, and then the cat was just all the criticism from the fan base over the years, you know? I thought that was funny. So, you know, the memes are still hitting. Oh my God, imagine the Signal friends seeing the broadcast. Yeah, RWBY was worldwide. Dude, RWBY went worldwide there for a moment. Which is like, when she goes back... Okay, let's talk about that real quick. All right. I do think that there's a lot of validity. Also, Patrice, I will get to your recent super chat. I'm literally going on a freaking tangent right now. I do agree a bit with the criticism of how no one acknowledged, recognized, or even like was blown away by Team RWBY being in Atlas based on the fact that they were finalists in the Vital Festival. Oh, they could have been finalists in the Vital Festival tournament. Like Yang, like breaking Mercury's leg was not, had no like worldwide implications for their notoriety when they went to Atlas. Like for example, when Pietro first met them, he was like, "Your Team RWBY." Like, oh my God, like how would you not know that based on the Vital Festival tournament and the matches they played in they were in all of the rounds. They were in the 4v4, they were in the doubles, and Yang made it to the singles. Yang made it to like the final rounds. And so if here's what I'm going to say. If nobody acknowledged or knew of Team RWBY during the Vital Festival tournament, do you think people will even remember or recognize Ruby Rose with a worldwide broadcast? I want to say yes, but evidence has shown through Veil, through the Vital Festival tournament, that that is not going to be the case. So I hope they course correct that, because there should have been more of a world building reaction to Team RWBY in Atlas. And now on a worldwide scale, Ruby Rose should be the one that people notice. Obviously, no one else was in the shot. It was just her kind of giving the broadcast speech. Ruby should be like worldwide famous or well-known at this point. And so my only worry is because there was no type of response to that of like the Vital Festival tournament, I don't really know if there's going to be any type of... I'm hoping that they learn from that mistake, because I do think that that was a missed opportunity. Yeah. I can also acknowledge that it's been like a year since the Vital Festival tournament versus like she recently just put out that broadcast to people in the world. If they go back in no time, there's no like funny business with like time difference or, you know, the flow of time running differently in the ever after. So, but yeah. But the Vital Festival tournament is like a worldwide phenomenal thing. Like people from all over the country, from all over the world watch. So yeah. Also, Pietro was watching when his daughter got killed. So I expected him to be able to watch with all the other stuff that was happening. But yeah, I just hope that there's more of a world's response to RWBY being in these locations, being recognized because of that broadcast in Atlas. That's all I'm hoping for, because it didn't feel all that meaningful with them when they went to Atlas after Beacon. Okay, so let me catch up on the super chat real quick. Give me 1 second. Patrice, thank you for the $20 super chat. I'ma put my money where my mouth is. Ciel ain't making meaningful appearance other than for Ruby to give her closure on Penny in the future. Ciel's one charge was protecting Penny, and what happened? I'd run away too. No. Well, first off, I appreciate your resolve to put your money where your mouth is. But no, Ciel wasn't meant to protect Penny. Penny was playing in her tournament match. Like, that was a sanctioned match. So you would expect things to be on the up and up. Ciel's goal wasn't to be like, and plus it was 1v1, so like they got outplayed by Emerald. Like they were in a game that they didn't ask to play at that point. But like, yeah, no, Ciel didn't really do Ciel didn't do anything wrong. And then on top of that, when Penny got revived and brought back to Atlas, Penny even tells Ruby, like, oh, the general says I don't have time for friends anymore. And so they made her the sole protector of Mantle. So they took Ciel away from that duty. But yeah, Ciel was in no way responsible for Penny dying on either front. Penny died during an official sanctioned tournament match the first time, unbeknownst to anyone. So Ciel has no responsibility over that. And then when Penny died again in Atlas, she was no longer in charge of watching over Penny because Ironwood was calling the shots at that point. So yeah. But I mean, like, I think there's more important things than Ciel just needing closure for Penny. Like, realistically, if she was stationed in Vacuo, that means she had a job to do there. And, you know, at the end of the day, I think that took precedent for her. She was never someone that was really attached to Penny anyways. It was just very much, what did she say? She was like, oh, she's like Blake, but if Blake was ordered to follow you, and then she's like, oh, so Weiss, you know, she wasn't doing it because she wanted to. She was doing it because she had to. I mean, she could still feel some type of way. I'm not saying she's not entitled to feeling, you know, remorse or sadness for Penny dying, but it's not like it was something that like was like weighed on her heart or anything like that over, you know, for what their relationship was. Let's see. Chelsea, thank you for the $5 super chats. Just super grateful to have you back on RWBY content. Always grateful to see you back on here, and it's so much fun watching with you. Much love. Aw, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that very, very, very much to everybody. Like, we've been having like a decent amount of viewership for week to week with these discussions, and the reaction videos are doing really well too. So I'm just happy that RWBY isn't completely like abandoned. Like, even with the long running hiatus, we all just kind of came together and picked up where we left off. So thank you very much. I appreciate that. Brandon, thank you for the super chat as well. Man, when Ciel was mentioned, I busted out laughing. Bro, I swear to God, dude. Everyone's like Arnold moment right there. But yeah. Anyways, so let's carry on. Let's move on from here. Oh yeah, so Wise Huntress, it's Weiss. All right, just Weiss. So Weiss was doing like voices for the characters or whatever. I guess they were putting, I don't know if they were putting on a play for the freaking cat or whatever, but everyone was doing like their own little impersonations, I guess, and Weiss could have done a little bit better of a job, which I thought was really, because she's just annoyed, and now she's tiny and annoyed. So that can only, you know, mean, you know, things can only go downhill for Weiss at this point. But with all of the introductions, exposition, and just kind of interactions between everyone, we have officially transitioned to the Garden Acre, which is so beautiful. I love these acre introductions. Like, each one looks bigger and better than the last. I love these leaves so much. I want someone to commission me artwork of one of these leaves so I can get it framed and put it up on my wall or something. I've never wanted more in my life to just go outside, pick a leaf like this off the tree and paint it. Like paint it one of these. I don't know. I just love the way they like. I love the color palettes of them. They look nice. They're all coming obviously from the main tree. And big Pyrrha vibes too, because Pyrrha is heavily associated with these like maple like leaves from previous volumes. But the winds of change are blowing, it seems. But yeah, the locale looks really awesome. So they're going to, this is the gardens acre, so all of like the fungi and the glowing vegetation and fauna, like flora and all that other stuff. Just another cool location, another cool setting. Similarly to all of the other acres, you have one bridge of one acre connecting with a different bridge of another. And Yang even mentions, she's like, oh, all of these places look like mismatched puzzle pieces being put together. And the cat mentions each acre is like, everyone is placed on a different acre for their, you know, for their purpose. So you are placed at an acre for a specific goal, a specific purpose that you are meant to do. The herbalist gathers herbs. They help try to find, you know, wayward travelers, whatever, and help them on their journey to keep them on the path that is meant for them. And so on and so forth. The Jinxie Peddler has a role, which is why they're in the toy locale of the acre. You have the Red Prince, who is at the castle for his purpose. You have, it seems like the cat might just be kind of like an anomaly, because I don't know if they have, they're just kind of like doing whatever, but it doesn't seem like anyone else really travels that much outside of where they're from. You know, like even Little, he was like, I've never been this far from home before, like the tropical acre. He's like, I've never been this far from home before. And it's kind of like, well, that's, first off, he doesn't have a name. He doesn't even have a purpose. So he's still kind of like figuring out his way. But yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was really interesting. I also found it very fascinating when he asked them, he says, oh, is it like that back in Remnant? And Yang says, not really. Like, no, not really. And I can't help but feel like maybe not by design, but when you think about it, all the faunus are shipped off to Menagerie. It's like, that's where you belong. All of the rich high society, like snobs of the world are in Atlas. That's where they belong. All of the gritty, dog eat dog world type of people that have to thrive, that have to fight to survive are in Vacuo. That's where they belong. You know what I mean? Like Remnant kind of runs in the same way. It might be a little bit more systemic, right? It might be more of like a systemic thing of where certain people are from. Like the Ever After is kind of like, you are here because this is what your whole life's purpose is meant for you to be. Like you are meant to be here. Whereas on Remnant, it's just kind of like, you know, it's like that's life. Unfortunately, you got to play ball like everybody else. So in some ways, I do see a parallel to this place, to Remnant, when I think when you put it into that kind of perspective. But yeah, people are divided. Like, especially nationalism, like people are divided just by virtue of where they live, and they take pride in that, or they look down on other people who aren't from the same places they are. So in some cases, it's probably better off here that people are all they kind of get along, they kind of follow the path that life gives them in the Ever After. But on Remnant, that's kind of like a big part of like what divides people is like where they're from, especially when that goes back to like the Great War and how war was fought between nations. I think it was Vale and Mistral. Was it? I forgot what two factors were like waging war with each other. But yeah, obviously there's like a lot of tension between nations. Like Vacuo doesn't really like Atlas. Yeah, it was Vale and Vacuo against Mistral and Atlas. So, you know, just virtue of the Great War creates a lot of issues for years to come when it comes to where you live. Oh, it was Mantle and Mistral. Okay, not Atlas itself. Yeah, Eminem versus VV. Mantle and Mistral versus Vale and Vacuo. I see. Yeah. But, yeah, I definitely was like, I feel like Yang gave a genuine answer, but I was like, you could be a little bit more specific about that one. Yeah, Atlas didn't exist until after. Yeah, I completely forgot about that whole process. Yeah, and then at that point they were like, all right, we're out of here. And then they just went into the sky. So, yeah, I just love the transition. Again, a new acre, a new journey, a new character, a new theme to kind of explore over the course of the show, which now begs the question, where does the plot go from here? Are we going to revisit old acres? Are we going to keep this trend of new acres? Because I really want to see that Candyland acre. I'm going to be so sad. I feel like the further we go, like after this episode, like I'm like, bro, if we don't see this Candyland acre, like this ice cream freaking gumdrop mountain acre, I'm going to be so sad. But from what the intro gave us, everything from here on out, it's very loose in terms of like what we can expect. The only thing I can expect now is that we're going to take some time in some of the acres that we're already established in, or they'll backpedal. And maybe we'll get like, you know, because after this, we have like the upside down maze kind of acre. I think that we saw like to the right side of the tree. And then, you know, from there, it's like they're supposed to be getting closer and closer. So I expect the tree to be like episode 9, episode 10, which means we only really have 3 more episodes. Actually, like we have like 3 more episodes 5, 6, and 7. And we have like that pond or that lake that we're going to be going to, which seems to be in the Gardens acre biome. So we're not at the garden specifically, but similar to how Toy Town was within the Red Kingdom acre, I feel like the lake is going to be within the garden acre. But yeah, we have to obviously wait and see. But yeah, I really liked the acre. I really liked the introduction of the place. And again, with everything being constantly new, it keeps things really fresh. I liked this shot as well. Like, just the locale. It looks so nice. The lighting is great. I love how everything's bright and vibrant. But yeah, the locations of the show are always top notch. That big mushroom in the middle gives me big like Genshin Impact, like Zamaran vibes for any Genshin gamers in chat who will get that reference. But yeah, yeah. I'll just leave it there. I don't want to spoil for anyone that hasn't played or hasn't done that yet. But yeah, I just like the location. Oh my god, yeah, this is giving me big R&R vibes. Holy shit. Those are all of my Ascension materials right there, chat. I gotta go and farm those up. God. But yeah, but moving on from there, I didn't appreciate this moment right here, guys. The Curious Cat really did RWBY dirty in this moment. He was like, who's that sorceress again? Mommy Salami? Is that who you guys are fighting? How many relics does she need to kill you guys all and wipe humanity off the face of the planet again? How bad did you fuck up in Atlas? How many people died? You think you're gonna win? You know what I mean? Like, just making things like worse and worse with every word that comes out of their mouth. And I'm like, bro, you just ruined the vibes, my guy. Everything was fine until you said something. And it's just like, damn, bro, can't you read the room? So yeah, that's kind of fucked up, honestly. And obviously RWBY's going through it. She's constantly being reminded. And her team is just kind of like trying to get her. See, here's another thing too. Like, RWBY's just pretty much deflecting constantly. Like, even in the first episode where she like passed out, her sister's like, are you okay? And she's like, anyway, Neo was attacking me and I had to deal with that. You know what I mean? I mean, he's not wrong, I guess, but like, he's asking her questions like anyone would have those kind of answers, you know? How are you going to stop her now that Atlas is gone? It's like, why are you asking me that? Like, I know the answer. That happened like an hour ago. There's a time and place for questions, okay? This was not it, all right? Or maybe he was testing her. You know what I mean? Like, maybe he's trying to get her to answer those questions now versus later or never. He is the curious cat after all. He is curious. That is true. But it's like, bro, you ever hear of, I don't know, if you ever hear of, like, freaking etiquette? But yeah. Refresh the audience's memory. That is true, too, actually. I feel like that would have been nice to just be like, okay, remember Salem, by the way? She's got 2 relics, and Atlas just fell. So that, I mean, then again, the start of the volume also kind of gave us that refresher as well. So, it is what it is. This cat has so many questions. I know, they just told you the entire story, and you're still unsatisfied. How dare he? I also want to say Little has been stealing a lot of the show. Actually, Little just comes in, makes their presence known with a little bit of banter, a little bit of funny business, and then books it. And I feel like Little doesn't overstay their welcome at all, which I really appreciate. I really like that. And they're constantly sleeping. Like all the time. Like an uncomfortable amount of sleeping is happening with this mouse. I don't know if that's intentional, but Little is either always going to sleep or waking up between episodes or during episodes or whatever. But I love them. I love them. It's so crazy how much of an impact Little has had on people and the characters and the show too. Like how much of this volume feels like it's partially Little's volume as well, despite being a brand new character. Yeah, we talked about narcolepsy in the last episode, but like they're not just like in the middle of, you know what I mean? Like they're not just like in the middle of doing something and then just KO. You know what I mean? Like they are deliberately like, okay, I need another nap. Time for bed. See ya. Bro's sleeping the stress off. I feel like Little is sleeping for RWBY. Like, I don't think any of these characters have slept since they got... I don't know how long they've been here either, but... Like, Little is just, like, a manifestation of RWBY's, like, psyche. And, like, when RWBY needs to sleep, Little just sleeps for her to keep her going. Yeah, I guess narcolepsy can sometimes be a chronic sleepiness, like always tired. That is true. Surprised they knew what a goldfish was? Yeah, I mean, it's not like, you know, they know what food is, you know what I mean? They know what trees are. It's not like these things are... It's not like these things are, like, native to Remnant only. Give me one second, guys. I'm just gonna... Okay. All right, just had to look up something quick. They knew what a raccoon was too? Yeah, exactly. Like, these are just, like, concepts we're expecting the characters to just know. You know what I mean? What's narcolepsy? It's kind of like it's like a neurotic like disorder that affects like people's ability to control their sleep patterns or their sleep cycles and sleep habits. So some of the, like, it scales in terms of severity, but it can be as bad as I could literally be talking to you right now and then with the snap of a finger I fall asleep. Or it could be that you're chronically tired, even if you've gotten like a full 8 to 10 hours of sleep. It's just like a disorder in your brain that affects your ability to maintain wakefulness, or stay awake, or control when you fall asleep or when you wake up, which is terrifying. in my opinion. Yeah, I assume people with narcolepsy don't drive either, just because, like, yeah, like, that's just, like, a massive, like, health risk. Or safety risk, I should say, or both. But yeah, and so, like, Little's constantly sleeping, which makes it seem like they have some type of sleeping situation going on. I don't want to diagnose a talking mouse, but, you know, it's something that's constantly noticeable. They are always sleeping in every episode. And I don't know if it's just like, this mouse is basically living lavish. They don't have to fend for themselves and hunt for food and pick freaking cheese carrots out of the ground. They just have to chill on this girl's shoulder and sleep and get a nice vantage point view of the acres as they travel, and they have nothing to worry about. I don't know if it's that. Yeah, insomnia is another one where that's another, like, form of, like, sleep sleep disorder. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's just because they like sleeping, if it's something that's just a luxury to them now, or if it's something deeper. But it's something that I definitely notice. I think Little sleeping a lot is an easy way for RWBY to not have to have them in every scene. Yeah, that's true. Like I said, they pop out when they need to, and then they go back to what they were doing. So I feel like it can work out either way. But yeah, sleep, what's that? Yeah, I know, right? This day and age, I would kill for a good 8 hours of sleep, honestly. Alrighty. So we're moving through the acre. And we are finally introduced to Absalom, a.k.a. the herbalist, a.k.a. the caterpillar / butterfly. And it seems like they gave this one kind of like a hybrid. They have, like, the body of a caterpillar, but they have, like, the wings that would signify the butterfly state, at least. They have a sick design. I love their getup. I love the 3 eyes. I love, like, the charms and the necklace and the staff in their hand and everything else like that. I am gonna show the image just because someone in chat did remind me. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Let me see if I can find it. All right, here we go. So it was just this image. It was the image of Absalom, the caterpillar from Alice in Wonderland. I forgot to actually, like, embed this properly with the rest of the stuff. So I can just do this right here. But yeah, if you didn't know, this is the inspiration for the character. The caterpillar turned butterfly in the Alice in Wonderland or Alice Through the Looking Glass story. And they have the same exact thing. Who are you? Like, with the smoke and the hookah and all that. And they basically played the role of, like, trying to establish Alice's identity. So they kind of went through the phases of just kind of reassessing Alice's identity with herself, who she is, what she is. And in this case, RWBY is assuming the role of Alex, I guess, or assuming the role of Alex's plot in the story, and they're, like, switching it back on RWBY to figuring out what is she, because right now RWBY's going through a little bit of a bit of an identity crisis. So I think RWBY's doing a really great job with the parallels of Alice in Wonderland with this show, with the show, and it's coming like, I don't know, it's just very well done. I can't imagine, like, how they figured, like, what they would add, what they would cut, what was worth showing, what wasn't. And so yeah. Yeah, like in Alice, it's who are you? Because he was just like, who the hell are you? And I think Alice was like, sometimes I'm not so sure myself who I am. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, we all know what the plot of that part of the movie was. But in this one, like, everyone else is like, what are you? What are you? It's like, we're a huntress. And I love how she said we're huntresses, because the last time she was like, we're humans, everyone got on their case. So I thought it was really smart that RWBY decided to opt for, yeah, we're just huntresses, because apparently y'all have a problem with humans, or some people have problems with humans, and that didn't work out for us last time. So I do like how she switched it up, but then it became, well, then what's a huntress? Because I don't think Alex, I don't know if that implied that Alex wasn't a huntress, because they kind of identified more so that Alex was human, and thus they associated all of the like stuff that she did while she was here. But the herbalist doesn't know what a huntress is, so they needed to have like some like proper defining to help them on their journey. It's like, if I know what you are, then I can help you figure out who you are. But if you don't know what you are, there's no way that I can help you. Like in this whole entire sequence, the entire struggle up to the final scene was help me help you. But like RWBY is just kind of like conflicted. She's also like, who the fuck is this guy? Can you just help us get big again? Why are you asking all these weird questions? And he's like, I'm trying to help you, and you're making it difficult because you don't even know what the hell you are. So I liked how it wasn't like just super clean cut. Like, it's very clear that everyone's a little bit on edge and they don't really understand the processes that are going on here. They need a Grogurt parfait, which at the time I didn't realize that was kind of like a pun, like Gogurt, yogurt, Grogurt, because they need to grow back into like their regular size. So I thought that was a very interesting, I thought that was a really nice pun that they added there. No Grogurt, just Danimals. Oh God, dude, they should have had that Danimals Grogurt, because there's an actual like product called Danimals yogurt or Gogurt. It's like yogurt in like a tube for on the go. And because everyone in this freaking show is an animal, or in this place is like an animal partially, I feel like a Danimals. Actually, no, that's like a lawsuit right there waiting to happen. Maybe, I don't know if they could actually say Danimals, but you know, the Grogurt parfait was nice. I thought that was a good touch. Also, I wonder if it was called Grogurt, like growth spurt. You know what I mean? Because they need to grow quickly. So I wonder if Grogurt was like a multi-layered pun, like Grogurt being like a growing yogurt, but also mentioning like a growth spurt, like a Grogurt. I'm gonna stop. I feel like I'm just like saying the same word over and over, and now it sounds weird. But yeah, I wonder if there was like a multi-layered pun there for what they wanted to try to get to make them big. Yeah, I'm gonna stop trying to explain the joke. As a Sino moment right there, dude. But yeah, I just really, and we got a shot of this area in the in one of the trailers. I think it was the second trailer of like when RWBY first walks into the room. That's where we first found out that like Weiss, Blake, and Yang were super tiny, and we saw all of their like bits and bobs and stuff like that on the table, like their globe and their beakers and books and stuff like that. So I thought it was really neat how we actually, I was like, oh shit, so it's this person's place, which was really nice. And we end up finding out they're an herbalist. Their purpose within this acre is to help people find their purpose again on their journey. And so like obviously this was a big moment for what was established in the intro, which is Weiss, Blake, and Yang being in the best place in their life. Like they are the best versions of themselves right now. They even denounce their past. And RWBY is the only one of the group that is having a little bit of pressure, or a little bit of issues with believing that things can get better. You know what I mean? She's hit a rut at this point for the first time in the show, which is honestly very welcoming and long overdue. But obviously, you know, Blake and everybody else is trying to get through, and they're just kind of like a little conflicted with the entire situation. I do want to mention something though before we transition here, because rewatching this episode, I got a hit of not nostalgia, but I got sent back a little bit to my childhood, and something in this episode reminded me of my youth that I haven't like thought about my entire adult life. And it's this shot right here. It's a little subtle, and some of you guys might not really understand what I'm getting at here, but these little curtains, like these beaded curtains When I was a kid, my mom would always have these like beaded curtains leading into the kitchen of every house I lived in. Like every house we moved into, every house I lived in, we always had beaded curtains leading into the kitchen. And as an adult, I have not thought of that my entire adult life. I have not thought of that at all. And I started thinking about it so much. I was like, oh my God. I remember it was a memory that I literally forgot. I forgot that we used to have these in my house when I was growing up. And what's funny too is that I don't do it in the same way, but in my living room, I have an air conditioner in my living room, but there's like a doorway that leads from my living room into my kitchen. So when I want to run the AC in my living room, I have this curtain that I put in the middle of the doorway that leads between my living room and the kitchen. So it like traps all of the cool air in my living room. So I kind of have something like that in my house right now, but it's not like the beads. Like the beads just I was like, oh my God. And like me and my brother would run through them all the time. And my mom would tell us like, oh, stop running in the house. And sometimes like we would like rip like some of the beads would like fall off of the little strings. It really just took me back to my childhood just seeing that. And I'm pretty sure this is more of like an aesthetical thing for like hookah rooms and stuff like that. I don't fucking know. But like, it just reminded me of a moment of my childhood that I hadn't thought of in like the last, I don't know, like 10 years of my life or whatever. You have a brother? I have a few brothers. I'm the oldest son though, so I only have younger brothers. I don't have an older brother, but I have one older sister. And then all my other siblings are younger than me. But yeah, I have, let's see. How many brothers do I have? I actually have to think about how many siblings I have, because I have siblings from my mom and siblings from my dad, because obviously I'm the only child between my mom and my dad. So my dad remarried and he had kids with my stepmom, and then my mom was in a relationship, and you know, she had kids with she had my sister was born before me, and then me and my mom met my dad, and then my mom met like her most recent partner is my youngest brother's father, who's technically kind of like my stepfather that I grew up with. I basically had like two dads growing up. But yeah, I'm the second child of all of my siblings, but I'm the oldest son. So yeah. I have, let's see. I think I've talked about this too. So I have 4 brothers, and I have, let's see, 1 older sister, and then I have 4 brothers and 4 sisters. Yeah. However, despite having 4 brothers and 4 sisters, I have a very small family. Some of those family members I don't live with. Some of those family members I haven't seen in years. Which is like, I think about that a lot too, about how I have a really big family, but I don't... I'm going to get real with you guys. I'm going to get like super real with you for like something that I don't really talk about. I don't really talk about like my personal life or my personal family. I feel like I have a lot of relatives, but I have very few family members. I think that's the best way that I can describe how I feel about the people that I grew up with. My family is the people that I grew up with. Relatives are people that I am just related to by blood, and they are not the same. And so like when people find out, they're like, oh my gosh, you have so many brothers and sisters. Like realistically, my oldest sister and my younger brother are the family that I grew up with, unfortunately. And that's not to say I didn't know who my other siblings were. It's just that I had a very rough relationship with, not rough, I don't want to say rough. I had a very complicated relationship with my dad growing up, only because like I would only see my dad's side of the family and like my other siblings on like weekends and like on vacations and stuff like that after him and my mom split up. And after my dad died, I pretty much lost all contact with my stepmom's side of the family and my dad's side of the family. So when my dad died, I essentially lost 2/3 of my family that I had growing up as a kid. And it kind of just went back to me, my mom, my brother, and my sister. So I have a lot of relatives, but I don't have a lot of family. Which is something that I resent a lot. Like I wish I did, because I would think that my dad would want me to be close with his family and stuff like that, but I don't know. I'm getting emotional now. I need to stop. But yeah, I don't know. I just think about that a lot. I think about, and that's why I thought of like the beads in the kitchen, because I don't know. I just think about how I wish things in my life were a little bit different. And yeah, losing my dad meant I lost a lot more than just a parent. I lost like a big part of my life, a big part of my family. And God, I hate this. A part of me is really happy that I met Cal, because she has a family that I always wish I had. Like, I go to her house like every summer and every winter, and she has aunts and uncles and cousins that come over, and they have dinner together, and they get around, the holidays they get together. And I look at that and I'm like, damn. And it's so easy to want that for your kids and stuff. Like, in my mind, I think this is the life my dad wanted for me, but I still didn't have that. And it's easy for me to think, I want this life for my kids, but I didn't even end up having that. You know? So, I don't know. I really think about that a lot whenever someone mentions, like, oh, you have a lot of family members, you have a lot of brothers and sisters, and it's like, technicality-wise, I do, but I really feel like I don't have as much as people think I do. And I'm grateful for what I have, but at the same time, I have a very love-hate relationship with my family from time to time. Like, I go really long spells without talking to any of my family. I enjoy being alone a lot more than I should. Because I feel like I've always been alone, especially the older I got. And I don't remember as much of I don't remember a lot of my, like, the beads in the kitchen are really, like, I really just, like, grabbed a memory from my past that I thought I forgot. And so, yeah, I don't know. I never really talk about that. And, for obvious reasons, it's just something that I struggle with trying to express and talk about. But yeah, I mean, I maybe even I take some of the stuff I do have for granted, because it's like, well, you might not have all those things, but at least some people have less than I do. But I don't know. At the same time, I still feel like I can't help but think of what could have been in my life. So yeah. Anyways, I really like the beads. They remind me of my youth, my childhood, better times, simpler times. And yeah, I just wanted to share that, because I've never really talked about that with anybody. So anyways, who wants to get high? I love how in this shot Blake was the only one that was like, drugs are bad. Can we get out of here? Anyways, yeah, you gotta have that immediate transition. You gotta push yourself in the deep end. You just have to. I had no proper way to segue into this without it being a little like hard or awkward. So I was just like, all right, what's the most obnoxious thing I can say right now to immediately change this tone? Ah, man. But yeah, so this was great too. Like, I feel like we were all waiting for this. So like, it's like, okay, when are the illegal substances gonna start coming into play? When is secondhand smoke going to screw everybody over? And this man was like blowing smoke right in their face. He's like, yo, I'm gonna get you high with that. I'm gonna get you. This is like the biggest contact high they've ever felt. I wouldn't be surprised if it's the first time any of them have ever done drugs. But yeah, the herbalist, in more ways than one, he's like, yo, I'm trying to get you. I'm trying to get you to open your third eye. I'm trying to get you to be woke like I am. But yeah, this was a very interesting scene. Do drugs even exist on Remnant? You'd have to assume so, right? I mean, we're huntresses and huntresses fighting Grimm. If drugs exist in the world, it's literally like the least interesting thing in the world compared to like what the plot is actually about. But yeah. I feel like Yang has definitely done drugs. All right, well, I don't fucking know. This is your brain. This is your brain on drugs. I think I probably speak for everyone when I say that this was probably the highlight, without a doubt, of the episode. Between Weiss, Blake, and Yang, how they did it, the visual aesthetic of it all, like with the smoke and their past meeting their present selves, like past Yang, past Blake, past Weiss, trying to really not convince them of anything, but really shaking their, like, really challenging their convictions. And some people in the chat mentioned it at the early parts of the stream, but I genuinely feel like this was a direct parallel to Volume 2. Because in Volume 2, these characters did not know what they were. They did not know who they were. Like, they didn't really know what they were getting themselves into. They all had ulterior motives, right? I want to be a thrill seeker. You know, I want to just kind of join for the hell of it. And then she's like, oh, I wanted to join because it's my duty as a Shnee. You know what I mean? They all kind of gave like bullshit, bogus excuses for why they wanted to be, huntresses. And again, it's kind of like, it's like that again, but in a different way. Yeah, I don't mean it's a parallel directly StarCraft. What I basically mean is like they are being challenged. Like in Volume 2, they were challenged by Uplek when he's like, why do you want to be a huntress? Like, why? Like what's your purpose? What's your reasoning? And they couldn't give a real good answer for it. And now they're looking at themselves of like what they could potentially go back to. Like Yang could be like, oh, you know what? I'm done. I want things to be the way they used to. Blake's like, I want things to be simple. Weiss doesn't want any of the burdens. It's really easy to give in this moment, but they are, like the intro portrays, they are at their brightest. And they've evolved so much that it's very interesting when you look at it this way, because it almost like, if RWBY can do this right, they've almost, obviously they had to work to this point. They had to work to a point where Volume 9 was the point where they could develop characters and give everyone a sense of, like, give everyone their time, especially RWBY. But if I didn't know any better, I would say that they intentionally put off RWBY's development and focused on Weiss, Blake, and Yang's development so that way they could be the pillars that helped RWBY develop. Like, if I didn't know any better, I would say that that was their intent. Because when you look at these three characters, it's very clear from Volume 1 to now, these were the characters that got more of the development and grew from the experiences, whereas RWBY has pretty much internalized everything and hasn't really taken much steps forward compared to the rest of her team. Right? Like, Yang went through, you know, being accused of, you know, being an aggressive person for, like, what happened to Mercury. She got her arm cut off. She had to deal with reconciliation with Blake. She had to face her fears of Adam. She had to face her mother and the abandonment issues that she had from her mom and confronting her that way. Yang has definitely developed and grown from the show to now. Blake had to walk away from the White Fang. She had to walk away from Ilya and from Adam. She had to turn her back on her parents. She had to strive to be a huntress. She had to face Adam. She had to reconcile with her parents. She had to rally and, like, fight for her faunus and fight for her culture and her heritage. And she had to reconcile with her team after running away countless times. Blake has certainly developed from the start of the show to now. Weiss had to walk away from her entire life, her mother, her brother, her father. She had to hold very little to her when she went to Beacon. She carried a lot of that Atlas culture with her and really had to unlearn her racist ways, her holier-than-thou ways, her conceitedness, her bitchiness in the early volumes. And she really warmed up the most. She developed the fastest, and I feel like her growth was the one that is the strongest of all of them for reasons that go just beyond herself. You know, reforming her grandfather's company. I also think in a way like Ice Queendom does a little bit more to kind of flesh that out, because Volume 1 just kind of was very rapid. And, you know, it could have... Volume 1 was a rough draft at the end of the day, but Weiss has gone through so much, like, especially, like, with her family, with her brother, with her mother, with her father, with her sister, and with her team. And so Weiss has grown just as much as these two. But when you look at RWBY Rose here, she's gone through a lot of things that have just been left unfinished. She has never really expressed... Well, she has, but there have been a lot of things like Pyrrha's death, Penny's death the first time, Penny's death now, her mother's death, her sister losing her arm, being separated from her team, you know, having the weight of Salem and this, like, big plan, almost losing Crow during Volume 4. It, like, all of these things have compiled, but they've never shaken her to her core where it really gave her pause until now. Like, everything that's ever happened to RWBY has just been like a delay. It hasn't been like a full stop. And because of that, it feels like she's been the same character for 10 years now. You know? And so Atlas falling and Penny dying felt more like her responsibility as the team leader who pretty much went forward with this plan. Atlas falling, people getting killed, Penny sacrificing herself, all of them falling into the void, Salem getting both relics, was more directly attributed to RWBY's decision-making than any other thing that's ever happened to her. And so you compound that on top of all of these expectations of why she wants to be a huntress and, you know, her past self basically telling her all of the things that she's expecting of herself. You have to fight every day forever and ever until you die. Imagine that. Imagine being like, yeah, you gotta just work yourself to the bone. You know, life's a bitch and then you die. There's only two things guaranteed in this world, RWBY Rose: death and taxes. All right? Which one are you gonna, all right? And you're gonna give us both. You're gonna fight, you're gonna make everyone else happy, you're gonna do that until you can't anymore, and then you're gonna pay the government, and then we're gonna put you in a hole, you know? And so, like, now she doesn't even know what to do. She doesn't have anyone to lean on. It's literally just her. And Lindsay kind of, I don't want to say Lindsay leaked anything, but I remember during Volume 5, maybe she was wishful thinking. Maybe her thoughts just aligned with what was going to eventually happen with RWBY. But I remember they did an interview during Volume 5, and they were talking about, I think the question was something along the lines of like, what do you want to happen with your character in the show? And Lindsay basically meant, she's like, I want RWBY to have a moment of complete break where she can't move forward and her team has to build her back up. And this is the perfect scenario for that. Several years later, this is the perfect scenario. Weiss denounces making her life, like, Weiss denounces, like, her past. Blake denounces her past. Yang denounces her past self. They've all embraced who they are. They are all huntresses. And they're at the peak of their character growth at this point, which is complete contrast to their team leader. And I feel like this is the perfect opportunity for them to show her, or to help her realize what she is. And he's not here right now, but I was talking to a buddy of mine, Effortless Fury, David, and he gave a very good, he was like, he told me, so we were like talking about the episode, and I'm going to try to remember next week what he said, but he said, I think he said something, don't quote me on this, but I think he said something along the lines of like, a great way for Weiss, Blake, and Yang to help RWBY through this is to not butter her up with words, but to reinforce to her what she lost. Like, don't just say, oh, RWBY, don't worry, you're great, you can pull through it. Like, don't just give her fucking like bullshit like words of encouragement, because right now it's gonna take a lot more than words to help her through this. I feel like they should share the burden with her instead of just having it be all on her. Like, you're not the only one who lost a mom. Yang did too. You know? You're not the only one who is responsible for the fall of Beacon. We all are, because we're a team. That was a group effort. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's a lot easier. Like, I really think what she needs right now is the burden to be lifted off her shoulders and to be shouldered by her team, so she doesn't feel like it's all on her. And the best way to do that is for Weiss, Blake, and Yang to express how it's a shared experience that they're all going through, so she feels less like it's only her fault or she's the only one responsible. I think that's what he said, and I was like, actually, you know what? I'll be really upset if they don't do that now, because that's great. You know? But I also think that it's important for RWBY to lose herself along the way. A lot of people don't want that to happen. A lot of people don't want Ruby Rose to lose her identity and become this fucking loopy girl who's just like no rhyme or reason of who they are and just freaking gallivanting through the world like a freaking crazy person. But at the same time, I feel like you have to lose your head. I feel like you have to lose your mind in order to find it. You know what I mean? You got to lose yourself in order to find yourself. And if that is what it takes, I'm interested to see how she finds herself again, instead of it just being, let's nip it in the butt right now before it gets any further. It's like, I would like them to try and fail and then succeed, then try and succeed and never see how that process plays out. So yeah, I loved this. And again, this shot right here with like Yang talking about RWBY, and like, again, this is a reflection of their pasts, because You know, back in the day, these characters would talk about how, you know, I want to be a huntress, not because I really want to help people. It's because I want to be a thrill seeker. Oh, I don't really want to be a huntress to help people. I want to do it to right the wrongs of my past. I don't want to really be a huntress to help people. I wanted to do it because, you know, it's my duty to the Schnee family, and it's different than what's been happening thus far. Like, all of them just had ulterior motives that just happened to line up with being huntresses. But Yang even talks about how RWBY always wanted to be a huntress like the ones in the books, which is why Uplik did not question RWBY, because back then she knew what she was. She knew what she was, and she knew what she wanted to be. There was no ulterior motives. There was no second guessing herself or anything. And it's just like we have done a complete 180 now, because we're in the exact same scenario, but now them three are good, and RWBY's the one that's struggling, you know, to come to terms or really understand what she is at the end of the day. You know, when she's all alone and there's no one else with her and it's just her and her thoughts, like, who are you at the end of the day, you know? It reminds me of the song Fear, actually, when you think about it. Like, one of the lines is, who will you see in the darkness when no one is watching? You know, who will you be? And all of them are kind of going through this internally amongst themselves with no influence, no outside influence. And it's funny to see how each of them really said with all of their chest, I am a huntress. And then RWBY's just down, like straight, like, yo, this is how RWBY feels. She might not say it. She definitely doesn't tell it to anybody, but internally that's who she is in this moment. And it's very clear that no one is, it really goes to show that you never know what's going on with somebody. Because none of them are, they are none the wiser, you know? And so I just really loved the reflection and how this correlates to the past, because, again, it just shows really great growth and attention to these characters and how they've developed over the years. And this is, again, kind of ripped immediately out of the intro. So I think this is also going to be inevitable. It's already showing that this is in RWBY's mind, and she almost took it. She almost kind of went through with wanting to be someone other than Ruby Rose, and the cat showed up at the perfect time and saved her. But yeah, at this point now, I'm wondering what is truly going to give for her to just say, yes, I want to be somebody else. Because there's that voice that comes back later and talks about, like, she's carrying this immense burden, and this person can help them and can turn them into something else completely. Also, I completely glossed over this, and I apologize, but the caterpillar mentioned that not knowing what you are is how a king becomes a prince. So it seems like in the ever after, if you lose your purpose, you regress. Completely went over that. I like literally just kind of like, that was huge in the reaction. I popped off when he said that, because the previous weeks we were trying to figure out what happened to the king. But I think what happened is that the king lost his way and reverted back to a younger version of himself, or completely changed his identity to go from a benevolent, kind king to a spoiled, rotten brat of a prince. And so, yeah, I mentioned, chat, I mentioned last week's discussion. I said, I wonder if the king turned into the, like, I thought it was time manipulation. I thought, like, time changed and he reverted back to a prince because there was, like, some time manipulation, which I was wrong in how it happened, but I came to the same conclusion, which is a very red versus blue theory crafting thing that I typically do. I have the worst possible ways of reaching conclusions, but the end goal is the same, so I take credit. I'm like, I called it. But yeah, that was a very interesting realization, because again, Ruby Rose losing her way here. This could have been like the metamorphosis. So it could have happened here, but it got dodged. And now there's another opportunity for it to happen again, but through different means, which might be a little bit more, I don't know how the method works of her changing Ruby, of someone changing Ruby in the future, but it seems like maybe the inducing of like drugs here would have just caused her to accept a new version of herself. So it would have been like a simpler process. But I don't know if this person's literally going to rip Ruby's heart out and just fucking, you know, change up her, freaking shake her soul a little and then, you know, give her a new identity. I don't know what the process is going to be like, but yeah, I'm very interested to see how it happens. And another thing that I'll mention that I forgot to clarify or I forgot to go into was Jean. When we first got here, the herbalist mentions, they're like, hey, we need to get to the tree. And he says, you need help, do you? Everybody needs help nowadays. Something along those lines, which almost implies that he's been helping more than just Team RWBY. So I would not be surprised if Jean has already gone down this path. He's alone. He's probably in a very emotional and vulnerable state following what happened with the relics and with Cinder and with Penny and what he had to do. And he has no support system, just like RWBY doesn't. And he's probably down in the dumps about himself, just like RWBY is. And has had enough, like RWBY has. And probably gave into either the inducing of this drug or whatever, or what have you. But I feel like it's very easy to just show us the process of this island journey through Team RWBY's experience, and then assume that Jean has already gone through it, so we don't get like a rerun of events that we've already experienced, you know? So when we see Jean, he's already gone through the process, and we can infer based on Team RWBY's experience what Jean has gone through up to this point. You know? Yeah, that's another thing too. Like Weiss mentions, like, oh, why couldn't we have met the carpenter or the rusted knight? One was smart, one was handsome, and neither of them had the attention span of a goldfish. And I wonder if that's if she finds the rusted knight handsome, and the rusted knight turns out to be Jean. I feel like there's gonna be some white knight shippers rejoicing. But or she's gonna see the rusted knight and realize it's Jean, and she's like, I hate this fairy tale. This is actually a terrible sequel. Weiss beats the allegations. True. But yeah, yeah, I do think we'll see Jean next week. And I think that it's going to be an interesting one, because it might not be the Jean we know. He might not even speak. He might just be in armor, and we're led to believe that it's him, but we have no clue. I can work with this. Oh boy. But yeah, so I loved this entire thing. I do think that the change will happen with RWBY, undoubtedly. I think it's just a matter of time. Shout out to the fucking cat for showing up. Admittedly, though, he said, don't talk to anybody without me there. So he did warn them. He was like, don't talk to strangers, stranger danger, you know? But they wanted to get the Grogurt parfait so that way they can get big again. And this guy like took a hit too strong on the hookah and almost freaking sent them freaking into, I don't know, just sent them down freaking a mental breakdown. The cat has done something now twice that is very interesting, and he kind of reveals it here, that he gives a piece of his heart to people to help them feel better. Right? He did it with the prince, so the prince wouldn't cut off their heads. He did it with the herbalist here to kind of like chill him out. Maybe he was like getting way too freaking, he's just like, yo, that edible really fucked my shit up. You know what I mean? He's like, this edible ain't shit. And then like a couple minutes later, he's like, why do my fingers have fingers? You know, the hit was too strong. So again, I think the cat is going to be very important for potentially bringing Jean back or bringing RWBY back if they lose their purpose, if they lose their identity. Real talk, I'm glad that scene happened. I've been a little soured by Yang's character changes recently, but this episode showed that she's still the girl I loved, but wiser and worldlier. Yeah, I mean, I feel like Yang's always been that character. It's just, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people only live in the moment, and it's, you know, it's hard to contextualize years of her development to who she is now, as if she forgot all the things that made her who she was, you know? I don't know. I feel like a lot of people are very like have a lot of recency bias, and they're like, it doesn't matter what the character's done in the past. What are they doing in the present? Like, what are they doing for me recently for me to care about them, or that justifies their actions? But, you know, for these characters to say and relive their experiences and say and like kind of like confront their past selves, it just shows that they are who they've always been. It's just some people get lost in the sauce when it comes to what they want to see or what they only see as of late. And then they kind of attach that to who the character is instead of all the stuff that's led up to who they've become. So, that's at least how I feel about that. Let's see. C Cruz, thank you for the super chat. RWBY Nightmare blunt rotation down. Blunt rotation time. Who's that? Yeah, it's Puff pass, but he hasn't passed it to anybody, so he took a hit too strong there. Starcraft Squall, thank you for the super chat as well. In Volume 1, RWBY said weapons are extensions of themselves. Oh yeah, I was gonna say that too, Squall. That's funny how we have the same things to say. I was gonna say that too. Weiss, Blake, and Yang drew their weapons on their past selves, but RWBY doesn't have Crescent Rose, therefore she can't defend herself against her past coming back to haunt her, in a sense. So Crescent Rose not being here is also very appropriate with how RWBY's kind of going through everything, and she doesn't even have her weapon, you know what I mean, which is a part of her identity as a huntress. So, and she needs it to fulfill her role as a huntress, and she doesn't even have it. So to her, she's nothing without Crescent Rose. If, you know, she's not a huntress without her weapon, and without her weapon, it makes it very easy for her to feel even more lost, to not even be like, am I a huntress? I don't even have a weapon to defend myself. So, yeah, I forgot to mention that too. I was a little scatterbrained this discussion. There was some aspects of the conversation that went over my head. But yeah, in Volume 1, RWBY said weapons are extensions of themselves. Weiss, Blake, and Yang can now draw their weapons on their alter egos as an answer. RWBY can't. She's currently incomplete. And not just because Crescent Rose is MIA. Exactly. Yeah. It's a very good decision for them to get rid of Crescent Rose too. So RWBY's taking notes from Kingdom Hearts. True. Anyone notice that the cat's blue is similar to the genie's blue? Their magic could be connected to the crown. Calling it out ever after is another side of Cinder's vault. I feel like the ever after is just a part of the relics could come from here, maybe, or even the spirits of the relics. But yeah, I feel like the ever after is connected to the vaults and the relics themselves, because the relics are placed in the vaults, and the vaults share the same time space as the ever after. So there's an obvious connection here. It would make sense for one of the relics to be in the ever after, because then Salem would probably never be able to find it, unless she figures out about the ever after. So, you know, there's that too. I like that. Crispmas. Sorry about this. It doesn't feel very intentional. Wait, sorry about this, but doesn't it feel a little wait, sorry. Sorry about this, but doesn't it feel very intentional, not just for the joke, but that RWBY has Little with her? Little Red Riding Hood? Sorry, not trying to make a pun. Just this just really stood out to me. No, that's valid. That's completely valid. I would not be surprised if they just added that in as a little extra thing there. Yeah, she's Red Riding Hood and she's got Little with her, so Little plus Red Riding Hood equals Little Red Riding Hood. I approve. Yeah, and then the herbologist just fell through the hole in the floor, which so after that thing happened and the cat like stopped him from like trying to like mess with RWBY or whatever or deviate her from her purpose, the cat says, "You're done." He's like, "Herb, look at you. You're done. You're trying to, you're meant to help people find their purpose, but you lost your own." So when he said, "You're done," I wonder if the world is responding to him, like, deviating from his purpose, and thus, you're actually done, my guy. And they pushed the button and did away with him. Yeah, they sent him to the usual room. Yeah, so I don't know if there's like a reset button. Like, what do you do with someone who loses their purpose in a world where purpose means everything? You know? Another thing too is there was that one shot where the cat jumped onto the butterfly, like when they were like talking with Team RWBY, and the butterfly bursted into a ton of other butterflies. You know? So I don't know if like there's like a reincarnation cycle going on here where death doesn't happen, you just restart over or whatever, or if the caterpillar butterfly goes back to being a little larva, you know, and builds himself back up. I have no idea. You also have to remember when they first met the herbalist, he says, "I'm the herbalist until I'm not anymore." So something could have changed within him. Similar to how the king became similar to how the king became a prince, the herbalist could have lost his way here and is now reverting to something else based on what the world needs. You know? And the funniest part of the episode here is Little waking up from yet another nap. Hey, I found the cat. That's such a funny, like, that's so good, man. Little is so, Little is so appreciated. They are so... No time is wasted whenever they're on screen, I'll tell you. But yeah, RWBY and company are just looking dumbfounded, like literally mouth agape, horrified that the world just swallowed this man up. But yeah. Little is like, "I found the cat." And it's like, I remember in my reaction, I was like, "Good job, Little. Like, you know, you did it." I'm not going to take that away from Little. Little deserves everything. All right. But in a nutshell, that is the episode. And we also have the beautiful concept art, of course. This is a really short discussion. I think this is my shortest discussion, 2.5 hours. Yeah, moral of the story, don't do drugs. Kids, stay away from drugs. But yeah, concept art was beautiful. I love the bridge. I love the bridge. The concept art of the bridge is really nice. Having the different, like, expressions of the herbalist was really cool, too. And the fire room was great, like, or, like, the hookah room. And the early looks of the garden, of the garden acre was great, too. But that is it, everyone. That is the episode. It was very, 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 very entertaining. Really makes me wonder what we're going to get into for tomorrow, because we might get Jean, we might get Neo. I'm expecting them in some way, shape, or form to talk about like what they all experienced and what all of their answers were, and if RWBY really opens up and talks about how, You know what I mean? Because that's another internal conflict right there. Like, she doesn't have to tell them, but by not telling them, it's just going to make things worse and worse for her. It's going to keep that burden. It's going to have that burden weighing heavier and heavier to where it eventually breaks. Yeah, Casey did tweet that tomorrow is Edge City, or Edgy City or something like that. So I don't know if she means that in terms of music, if we're going to get some like edgy music, or if like the vibes of tomorrow's episode are going to be over the top. But yeah, that is the episode. That is the discussion. Thank you guys all so much for the support. As always, similar to a cat most curious, we are going to get into a cat that wears a very particular kind of hat, because I'm in too deep and y'all expect too much of me. I might change my identity, chat. Y'all expect this week in and week out? What is this nonsense? Damn, now I know how Ruby Rose feels, my guy. Now I know. Okay, we're on page 13 now. This is a pretty short one, though. All right. Damn, this cat is literally acting up. Look at him. He's messing with the fish. Leave him alone, goddammit. Put me down, said the fish. This is not funny at all. Put me down, said the fish. I do not wish to fall. What was it that Ambrosia said again at the end of volume 8? Do not fall. This fucking cat, man. I can't deal. Yeah, the cat literally said, I may fall, dude. But not like this. It won't be by your hand. Okay, that's a little too close to home. I actually wonder if they're going to pull one out of the Dr. Seuss book in the next volume. Confirming it right now, ladies and gentlemen. Volume 10 is going to be based on the Cat in the Hat. The Curious Cat will go to Remnant and will be anthropomorphic and will find a hat most devious and a bow tie most cunning and will start fucking around with people in Remnant, and that will be his shtick. He's just be like, it's a prank, bro. It's a prank, bro. It's from the it's an ever after thing. You wouldn't understand. And yeah, that's what's gonna happen. We're gonna get a terrifying anthropomorphic cat. But yeah, that is the discussion. That is the conversation. Thank you guys all so much for the love. Thank you for the support. Thank you for hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. Opinionated, pointless polls. Last week was very interesting. So let me double check and see what the results for last week were. So last week's results, last week's results was the death row meals. And expectedly so, 54.9% of people said that they would choose a home-cooked family meal as their last meal before they were executed. And well, let me check the Twitter balance real quick too, just to double check and see how that played out. Oh wow, okay, so I'll use YouTube as the sample size because YouTube has a bigger sample size. So 6 out of 3,100 votes, 66% said that they would take a home-cooked meal. 17%, which is in second place, said they would take fast food or a base restaurant meal. 13% said that they would take a 3 Michelin star dinner at like a fancy like Gordon Ramsay restaurant or something. And 5% said that they would settle for junk food / snacks, which is, that's saying something. It's like, hey, give me my freaking, my Doritos and my chalky milk, and let me have my last moments on this earth. I think I've done this one in the past, but I'm not sure. I wrote it down earlier this year as like a potential poll, but I was curious on people's... It's funny too, because we were talking about me and my siblings, but where everyone is on the spectrum of siblingry. If you guys are the oldest, if you're the middle child, if you're the youngest, or if you're an only child. I feel like that's something that I would have done by now, but I'm not sure if I've done it. But I am curious, so that might be the poll for today. Yeah, you did do that before? Okay, so I did do that. All right, hold on. Give me 1 second. I mean, you guys can still answer about it. Yeah, I haven't had much time to put in polls for, or think about potential polls for this week. Let's see. I want to try to do what is your most cherished. So like I have like elementary school, middle school, high school, college, and I was going to say something along the lines of like, which one of these do you have the fondest memories? Which I feel like people would have a lot of recency bias, or like, obviously the older you get, you'd want your experiences to be better. But I know Cal thinks a lot about like her middle school and elementary school times. Like for me, I think middle school, I have so many great memories of middle school. Like that was when I was like obsessed with Yu-Gi-Oh, and I would play Yu-Gi-Oh all the time with my with like my classmates and stuff. And but yeah, I don't know. I might have to think on this a little bit. But I think I'll do that one. I think I'll do the school one. Definitely peaked in high school. Damn. Yeah, I think high school would be... That's what everyone thinks back on. Even people that go to college. I feel like more people think back on their high school days than even if they went to college. But I'm also watching Erased, and that's like such a precious anime, because like it takes place in elementary school, which is, I feel like a lot of people, unless your middle school days were like goated, I feel like it's really hard to remember all of the like your real core experiences of elementary school. But yeah, I think we'll do that. I think we'll do the school one then. I'll set that up after the stream is done. Have you seen School Babysitters? It's adorable. No, I haven't actually. I'm only recently getting back into anime, but I'm watching Erased, and I love the elementary school. I mean, it's pretty dark, despite it taking place at an elementary school with like grade school kids, but it's awesome. But yeah, thank you guys again. Thank you for the support. Thank you for hanging out. I really hope you guys enjoyed the discussion. Sorry that it was a day late and $1 short, but I hope the conversations were great. This was also I think the shortest discussion we've done thus far. It was only 2.5 hours. So we got everything else we wanted out of the way. Really excited for tomorrow's episode. Jean could potentially be in it. My reaction to episode 4 will also be posted as per usual following an hour after tomorrow's episode comes out at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. So you guys can see how I popped off to the Ciao Soleil moment. And like I just like fanboyed over that because I was actually really happy. A lot of people thought that I was going to be, I don't know. A lot of people thought that I was going to be upset about it. But I thought that just hearing her voice gave me hopium, you know? So yeah, that's everything from me. Thank you guys again for the support. I hope you guys enjoy my reaction tomorrow. We will be back next Thursday for the next live stream. It has to be on Thursday next week because Friday I'm doing a Honkai stream in the morning and I don't want to double up on streams. But yeah, I will see you guys next week for the next RWBY discussion. Enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy your weekend. I hope you guys enjoy episode 5, and I hope you guys enjoy my reaction tomorrow. But thank you guys so much. Take care. Be safe, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.